the different topic. For me, is the great experience participating this meeting in the meeting. That's it about me.
Okay. Tammy, can you introduce yourself, please?
Sure. Hey guys, I'm Tammy. Originally from the countryside of São Paulo. It's a city called São José dos Campos. I'm now living in Bragança Paulista, and I am not a dev. I just joined because I spoke to Phil and I just wanted to join you guys a little bit. And if there's any topics that I can aggregate, then I'll be talking to you guys. But otherwise, like programming languages and stuff like that, I don't do any. So I'm not going to respond to those questions because I'm not a dev. I'm a marketing person. But yeah, that's it. Nice meeting you guys.
Nice to meet you too. Celso, I think he cannot speak. So I will introduce myself. So my name is Jean. I'm living on Paraná. I'm 19 years old. Right now I'm software developer, focus on backend, and I study software engineering at the university. In my free time, I really appreciate run at the street and play and watch soccer. And I hope this meeting will be good to talk about software development because I love this. So I think that's it. So I send the questions here on the chat. So Luis, can you choose some question and someone to answer it? Let's do different today. Not necessarily should choose the question number 1, but if you like, no problem.
Well, I think it could be good to start with the question number 1, but I'm not a software developer exactly.
Okay, but
can we go to the number 6?
Sure, we can. So you can start answering or choose someone to answer, all right?
All right, let's go. I will read and try to answer and pick up someone after. And let's go. Number 6, what typical problems do you have to deal with at work? Well, actually, in my work, I've been working with cybersecurity, and the typical problems, it's about virus, invasions, injections, and telecommunication problems, all right? In general, I need to deal with all these problems. Sometimes I need to deal with data loss too, all right? And sometimes we need to deal with non-compliance configuration setups, and we need to improve these. We need to improve our security. We need to apply the best market practice, all right? And that's it. For all those situations, for hosts, for softwares, for infrastructure, in cloud or private data centers, for example.
Yes. All right. So you can choose someone to answer, all right?
Marcio, could you share with us your experience, please?
Yeah. In my case, this moment I work with the quality control in the factory near my house. There exist several problems I need to deal during the week, but I think the big problem is the talk with another people about the product responsible with production with the quality, because several problems with that about caused with the another people's because not follow the, I forgot the name, procediments, but I talk in the meeting every week about the punctual problems. I try to show another person to have more responsible about the to deal with the I forgot the name, fabricação, our products, because in the during the sales, the name your factory in the street another customers is important. The one quality the product for the sales, I forgot the name, consumidor final.
All right. I will share my my point of view. All right, because when we are talking about software development, our responsibility and our job it's try to resolve the bugs that the client find of the software, all right, of the company product. But not just it, we should create new innovations or functionalities of the product. So that's one of the deal that we do in our work. It's try to create new things that the user can use in the daily. All right, so this is one of our responsibility, and one thing that we every day need to try to do to create new things. All right, this is one of our objectives during our job. And what about you, Tammy? Do you like to share with us about question number 6?
What typical problems do I have to deal with at work? Again, I'm not a dev, so talking about marketing and what I do, I have to deal with very tight deadlines. And that's always kind of like the client pointing out or thinking that they know how to do my job, and always doing like, oh, that's just this. It's so quick. And I'm like, yeah, that's not quick. And that's not going to take half an hour. And that's not going to take 5 minutes. It's going to take about a week. Oh, but I only have 3 days. And it's kind of like, why didn't you ask me a week ago then? Not now. And asking me to do something within 3 days. That's not possible to be done. So part of the problems that I have to deal with is tight deadlines and people thinking that they can do the job very quickly, when in fact, if they knew how to do it so quickly, they would do it themselves and not sending it to me, right? So I get that you guys probably have the same thing. Oh, it's just a line of code, and it's kind of like, no, it's definitely not. And as well as communication, because and that goes within employee peer-to-peer, like employee to employee, or an employee to bosses and managers, because sometimes I want something and I tell my team what I want, but they get back to me with something completely different, and they kind of like, oh, but I didn't understand what you wanted. And I'm like, why didn't you ask then, instead of trying to make something and wasting your time on something that's not exactly what I needed? So I think it's part of the problems that I have to deal with. It's clear communication. Like I myself sometimes don't make clear enough what I want, and the people that work with me, or even my clients, they sometimes are not clear enough with what they want. So that's this miscommunication, and we kind of like just waste time working on something that it wasn't exactly what needed to be done.
Yeah, it happened too when we are talking about software development. Sometimes the customer wanna something and think that it's fast to do, but sometimes it's easy to do, right? But easy, it's different to fast. It's easy functionality to create, but we usually will spend, for example, 2 or 3 weeks to do it. But yeah, that's true. It happened in our daily routine too. But all right, let's move on to another question. So, Marcio, can you choose some question?
Yeah, I chose question number 9. What's the most interesting project you have been involved in? In my case, I said another meetings. Here, I lived during 7 years another state, live in the Paraná state. When I go in, I go there because I participate in the new project in your factory. There I can participate different phases because when I arrived there, the factories in the phase the construction. I participate in this phase and another phase. I don't say in English, but in Portuguese, comissionamento. I participate in this phase. Another phase, they start the production. The phase is complicated because it is necessary different adjustments in the factory. By stabilization the production, I believe more one year for stabilization this production. For me, the great experience because I learn a lot in different process, in different phases. The start one new factory. This factory is a big factory for me. Great opportunity participate this project there in the Paraná state. Now I return here in my state, the Espírito Santo, but this experience go on in my learning about the factory and to deal the different situations. And you, Tami?
Let me mute myself. Well, I've worked in so many different projects. Right now, I'm working with a company that's launching a couple of apps, and they're soon to launch a hardware as well. So I've got to say that this was kind of not the, because again, I've worked on a couple, but one of the most interesting projects that I've worked with, because this got me into stuff that I didn't know, and I had to learn a lot, especially about technology, which is not my area at all. I'm a marketing person, so definitely I don't do programming languages. But I had to dive in a lot of tech jargons, like tech slangs and stuff like that. So this is one of the most interesting, because I'm learning a lot. I'm learning a lot what to do and also what not to do. So that's it.
All right. And what about you, Luis? What's the most interesting project you have been involved in?
When I was at the university, my graduation project was a good project. It was a project that I liked to do. I was at university in a research groups that was good too. And at my job, for example, I like jobs that are involved with, in general, I like to projects that involve new implantations. I don't know if I can use this word, not implantation, but Marcia said about provisioning, all right? Because when start a new project from zero, I can apply all those practices that I like, all right? I can put all those very good configurations before provisioning the equipment, the infrastructure, all right, something like this.
All right. And in my case, I just worked in two companies as software developer. And I think in my current job, I have a so good project to work in. We work with fiscal documents. I don't know how can I say it in English, but I have the opportunity to work with so good persons around me. All right, I'm just at the beginning of my career as software developer, but I can learn a lot with so different professionals around me, and I can learn a lot about the software development process and about the programming language that I should use in my job. So I think the current project, it's so good to me learn about the software development path and the career. All right. So I think the project that I'm involved in right now, it's so good to me go to the next levels about the software development career. All right, so let's move on to another question, and I would choose the question number 1. I think it's good. It's talking about software development career, but you can share about your career, right? Not necessarily about the software developer. So why did you decide to become a software developer? What kind of skills do you need to do your work? I decided to study about software, about IT at my high school, to do one project to the fire science, right? And I started studying a little bit about programming in this moment. But at the beginning of the high school, trying to choose what university I should do, I chose software engineering, because here in my city we have this university, all right, this course, and I started to study software engineering at and my in the end of my first semester at the university, I find one internship that I enter, and I start to work as an intern software developer. So it helped me a lot to understand more the routine and the process to work as a software developer. And that's it. I decided to work with this because since the high school, I liked how we can create new things when you are talking about software development and programming language. And about the second part of the question, what kind of skills you need to do in your work? I think one skills that we need to have is try understand how you can divide big problems in small problems. All right, to separate the parts of a big problem to small parts and share with another people to help you solve the big problem. I think it's one skills that we need to have. Another is the communication, because when you are stopped in a problem that you cannot solve, you need to ask another point of view of another software developer to help you, I think. And another skill, I think you should like to develop your logic, all right? Because all software developers needs to use the logic in your routine, your job. So I think that's some of skills that we need to develop. Talking about the software developer skills. And what about you, Tami?
I didn't decide to become a marketeer. It was just something that was thrown my way, that paid my bills, and it still pays, of course. So I started doing it, and I now enjoy it a lot. But yeah, it was like an opportunity that I grabbed, and it changed my life. So that's why I still work in the area. And what kind of skills do I need to do my work? Strategic thinking. It's one of the most important skills, and I don't think that's only for my kind of work, but everybody, because if you think strategically, then you don't have to do double work. You don't have to redo stuff. You think ahead, and then you break into pieces, and then you go like, okay, I have to do this, this, and that. And then when you get to the end, you don't get to like, oh, I forgot a step. Now I'm going to have to redo it all again. So strategic thinking, it's of course something that I need to do my work. And I'm not going to say skills, but I do need a team, and the team that I work with is great because I cannot myself do everything that my team does. So the way I work, we break into expertise. So people that work with me, they have different expertise and they do what they do best. So I trust them to do what they do best because not a single person can do everything best. But yeah, I'd say strategic thinking.
Yeah, sure. And what about you, Marcio? Why did you decide to work in your career, and what kind of skills do you need to do in your work?
So, in my case, I don't say decide because I had the opportunities during my life where I work in different career. During one period of my life, I work in the sailors. During 10 years, this profession for me, very, very interesting. I like a lot in the future. Maybe I return this profession, the sailors, to deal another people. For me, I like negotiation. For me, is very, very interesting. I work during 10 years. Another profession, I study more. I study the chemical technician. Technician. I forgot this pronunciation. I transition this another profession because this moment I intend to work in the factory. I work in the factory during 15 years. In the factory, I work in the laboratory and the control room operator in another factory. For me, I like to work in the factory because more the name stable for me the work there. Today I work the analyzing quality control. I work in the laboratory, but these factories I need to involve another people about the quality of the products. This is the big challenge because other people have difficulty to deal with the quality, but I think interesting. This moment in my life, I study administration, I study English, but it's normal in the future I transition again because in the future I intend to work in the new position. I intend to work in the manager, supervisor, the manager in the opportunity. I study now. I'm prepared. In the future, I intend to get this opportunity in my life because this moment I'm 44 years old. Is an important moment. I accomplish this transition in my life. I study all this. I believe near 5 years, I get active this goal in my life. But this moment, I study, I work in the quality control. About the skills you need, I believe the more important is to deal another people because when the people assume the responsible about the work together is more easy for the activity your goals. For me, my big challenge nowadays is working with another people in the factories that is responsible about the quality of the product. I talk, I accomplish the meeting, process. And another thing is about the people assume they're responsible the products with the quality. This is more challenging for me nowadays. And you, Luis?
In my case, I had the opportunity to go to the university. I went at the university in mechatronics engineering because I like technology. It was an option it's a kind of way to see a lot of technologies, all right? I like mechanical, I like computers. And then when I was finished my university, I could go to automation and I could go to IT. And I choose IT and I'm here since then. And that's it. I started to work as an infrastructure analyst. And then I would like to become more to get a job more specifically, and then I turned to security. Security is one of the branches that I had when I work with infrastructure, and that's it. I need some skills like strategic thinking, as Tammy said. We need to analytical think too, and we need the communication. We need to communication well, clearly. We don't have problems. We don't want to have problems with communication. All right, this is very important because security. We need to have an education about security, and information security, of course, and we got this with education, with communication. All right. I could set up the best tools and best practice, but I need to say to the other side the importance of security and best practice. All right, that's
Sure.
it.
Okay, so I think we can move on to another question. All right. So, Tammy, do you like to choose one question?
Let me take a look. What's the best part of a job? What is the worst part of a job? Oh, okay. I'm gonna go with number 5. What is the best part of my job and what is the worst part of my job? I'm gonna say that the best and the worst is that I have to deal with people because people are so complicated. They're great to deal with, but they're at the same time also hard to deal with because every person is a person, a singular person. So that's something that I love and that's something that I hate. The worst part of my job is having to deal with clients that are pushing me to get something done super quickly, especially when they kind of go like, okay, I need something very quickly. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to drop everything else and I'm going to get it done for you just out of respect. So then you appreciate what I do for you. And then while doing it, the client keeps on calling and I'm like, look, if you keep on calling, then I cannot work and I'm not going to deliver what you need delivered within time. So like micromanaging, it's one of the worst things. Luckily, I don't have a lot of clients that are kind of like that, but some are every now and then, and that is a pain. I'm not going to complete this sentence. And the best part of my job is dealing with the people that I like, the team that work with me, they're very good. We have no problems with gossip or anything else. So everybody is very friendly. Everybody's here to help and get things done. So this is, I think, the best part of my job.
Yes, talking about my daily job and routine, I think the best part is that every day we have different challenges, all right? So we don't do the same thing every day. Every day we do something different. And that's, I think it's amazing because every day we study different things and try to solve different problems. And I really appreciate it. But talking about the worst part of my job, I think maybe we spend a lot of time in front of a computer, in front of a smartphone. It maybe about talking about health, all right? It's not so good. So I think that it's a worst part. We spend a lot of the days using technology, and maybe it can so be dangerous. It can cause you. I forgot right now, but for example, dor de cabeça. It's some problem that we can have. All right, and because we use a lot of our minds to solve some hard problems. Not just software development, all right? Another professions too. But it's I think that can happen in our daily. And what about you, Luis? What's the best part of your job and the worst part?
The best part is when I use the analytical think, the strategical think, and when everything works, when we solve some problems that need to solve, it's very good. When I learn something new, because I like to learn. All right, the worst part, I think that could be a long time in front of the screen for me. It's very bad because we work, we study, we've been done a lot of things, even watching movies and series in front of the screen, and that's it. Sometimes I think that for in my case, for example, I need to search for another options to do exercise. To it's I don't like to go to the gym, for example, but I'm going and because I need, and that's it.
Yeah, some persons like to relax in front of TV, for example, watching series. But in my case, for example, I like to relax off the screen. All right, I think it's amazing because if I spend a long time during my day working on front of computer, and I relax in front of a screen, probably I will spend all of my day in the computer. But what about you, Marcio? What's the best and the worst part of your job?
So, in my case, the best part, I believe, about I work alone in the laboratory. There exists a little office in the laboratory. I can accomplish my activities more easy. I administration my time for me is 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 very nice because when I arrive, I organize my day. I work in, not pressure in the space. My space, I work alone. For me, is the best part, and the worst part, because the responsible is is irresponsible. The worst part, I say another question to deal another people because I don't accomplish the activities alone because when talking about the quality of the products, I need to involve several people in the factories. The worst part for me is the to deal different people during the day, the week, about to convince the people to work with the quality and not happening the problems during the processes. The process where I like to say, and the people, I don't say English, but in Portuguese, the people não fazer cagada. Is important work with responsible about the quality of the product. That's it.
Yes, that's true. Not I think for all jobs are right. So let's move on to another question. So I find here one question that I think everybody can answer. So it's not related exactly about software developer. So it's the question number 8. So Luis, do you work in the office or from home? Which do you prefer?
Nowadays, I've been working from home almost not more than 2 years. I've been working from home. Well, for me, it's very good to work from home because now I'm living in a small city in Minas Gerais. Before work from home, I wasn't living here, and it's very good. I have some advantages. Of course, that I have disadvantages in this situation, and all right, because I think sometimes that my network are not increasing as I would like. Sometimes I think that, but that's a good option. All right, maybe hybrid could be good once a week or even 2 times a month. Could be a good option, but in my case, for me, the best option is it's a remote position. For it's my case because I can live in a small city. I got advantages of a small city and work from another place. All right.
Yes.
I can stay with my family. All right, something like this. I can stay with my dog and
Yeah.
something like this.
Sure. And what about you, Tammy?
Is the question gone back to me again, which is the number 5,
Eight.
is it?
Number 8. So do you work in the office or from home? Which do you prefer?
I work from home. I've been working remotely since 2019, and my whole team also works remotely. In fact, one of the girls that used to work with us, she's moved to South Africa and she was working with us from there. So the people that work with me and myself, we are in different places all across Brazil. And I'm totally a remote person, but I do understand something that I think was Louise, right? Louise, you mentioned that the networking is a little bit of a struggle when working from home, wasn't it? I totally agree, because if you're at home all the time and not talking to anyone else, how are you gonna meet other people? So the hybrid works for a couple people, but it's also like the point of understanding. Some people, they do have kids, they have to take the kids to school, and they have dogs, or they take care of their parents and stuff like that. So the timing that people would take going into the office, they can actually take better care of their family members, or maybe of themselves as well. So I'm a remote person, but what I do to actually get to meet people when at work, I use LinkedIn a lot, but I also go to events in my area, or that are related to what I do, or where I can possibly prospect. So that's one of the things that I do, so I can actually network.
Yeah. Do you like say something, Luis?
Yes, I'd like to add some points that since 2019, I started to work in an office, but I work in an office, do remote jobs, all right? And now I'm do almost the same job from my home. This is something strange for me because I went to an office to do a work in remote servers with remote users, something like this, just this.
Yeah. And what about you, Marcio?
So, in my case, I work in the office. I don't work from home. I don't have this experience, but I believe interesting work in the home because have advantage. In my case, I like to conversation another people to deal the different situation. For me, I think it is more difficult work at home because the long time I work in the office in different places to deal different people during the day. But nowadays happen different things in the period the pandemic. I think I work at home, but not possible. I work in the office during this period, but in the future, I intend to have one experience work at home.
Yes, and in my case, I started the university in 2021, and it was my first internship too in 2021. So it was in the middle of the pandemic, all right? So I already start working. My first job was a remote job. So I've never had the experience to work in an office. All of my job life, I work at home. So I like it. All right. I don't know how it's the experience to work in an office, but until right now, I'm liking to work at home. And of course, as we said, we have good points that we can stay next to our family, live in a small city, but sometimes we haven't the face-to-face contact with another people, right? Maybe it's something bad, but I can do it in events like Tammy said. I like to go to programming events or IT events too, and we have this presential contact with people at the university too. So it helped me a little bit to create the network, for example, or something like this. So I think we can have the same thing in a hybrid job, as Luis mentioned too. But all right, so let's move on to another question. So Luis, can you choose some question?
All right, let me see. The number 11.
11,
It's
sure.
it's a very good question. Do you think that the artificial intelligence will become commonplace soon? Well, I don't know if I got exactly the question, because commonplace isn't means that will substitute positions, all right? Or could be understood as something that will change.
Not necessarily substitute, right, or replace some job, but if we use more this kind of technology in our day, right?
Yes. Yes, I do. I think that artificial intelligence will have more space in the next years, all right? I don't know exactly, I don't have the number statistics to say something that how the artificial intelligence are growing, how they are getting space in our society, but I think that yes, maybe the automated chats will use or are using artificial intelligence. Maybe students are migrating to use the artificial intelligence to study, to get information, to learn something new. I think that we will learn how to deal with, and we will learn to. I try to use uh, some tools of artificial intelligence, and it was a good experience. It was good. This helps me with a topic that I've been searching, and that's it.
All right. And what about you, Tammy? What do you think?
Yeah, definitely. For sure, AI is going to become a thing of our everyday. But there's also some kind of structural problems that we're going to have to deal with, because technology, and we're talking like 2023, right? And there are people that barely know how to use a mobile phone because technology is only accessible to those who have some privilege. And I'm not talking about rich people. I'm just talking about people that even have access to school or access to water and anything like that. So yes, I think it will become common. It will become ordinary. It will become something that people use every day, as it has already started, right? But it's going to take a long time for technology to kind of be accessible to 99% of the population.
Yeah, that's totally true. I believe that we will use more the artificial intelligence. Right now, we are already using it, right? In my day, use some artificial intelligence, but I don't think that will be replace some jobs so soon. All right, maybe in a long future, but right now with the artificial intelligence that we already have, I don't think that these artificial intelligence can replace our jobs that we are usually doing. But I think it can be so good in our routine, in our daily, to help us in some tasks that it can be automated, all right? But that don't involve to create or solve a big problem. Do you want to say something, Tammy?
I just wanted to point out that like I don't see AI replacing jobs being a problem, because just like the machinery with the sorry, forgot the name, the Industrial Revolution, like it replaced the jobs, but it actually replaced the jobs that people were getting sick working on. So for me, artificial intelligence should replace jobs, but it should replace jobs that people will still get sick working on, will get back problems, will have hand problems or any kind of problems. The only point is we got to learn how to actually use artificial intelligence to improve what we do and to make us better, and not look at it just kind of like, oh no, we have to stop the development, we have to stop all of the innovation on artificial intelligence because it is taking our jobs, and looking to it just kind of like, how can I live a better life if I apply AI into my everyday? So that's an important point to be discussed, because people just talking about AI as kind of like it's a boom right now, and some people are just looking at it like, oh, this is terrible, it is replacing my work, instead of kind of like, how can I use it to live a better life? And that's what we should be looking at.
Yeah. And what about you, Marcio? What do you think about this topic?
So I think the artificial intelligence will become commonplace soon. I think yes, because I think in the near time they call a Google nowadays, because in my case, for example, another meeting I participate with you about IA, I study a little about the artificial intelligence. I started to use it nowadays. I'm using a lot about my search in the cell phone and my laptop. I believe several people started using the intelligence artificial soon, because it help us a lot, the several things. Nowadays, I accomplished one work at the college. I use the artificial intelligence for me, help a lot about the text. About the in the factory and the another thing is I think it is more time, because it replaces the jobs and the profession and the another things. I think it is more time disrupting. But the people, I think start they use AI in the computer, in cell phone. I think it is common soon, in my opinion.
Yes. All right. So, guys, unfortunately, we haven't more time to keeping answering the next questions. All right. But to finish, I will share here a survey link that you can share if you like or dislike this topic, and you can share another topics that we can talk in the next weeks. All right. And I will read your answer, and I will prepare the material, the questions, the video, to talk about technology in the next week. All right. It was a pleasure to talk with all of you today about technology, careers, and our routine. And I hope see all of you here again at the next week to talk about technology too. All right. I think that's it. and good afternoon.